Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our TRMN Social Hour. This evening, we will be bringing to you another Ask Me Anything. This session with the one and the only First Space Lord. Let's see here. Fleet Admiral of the Red, Laura Lochen. Let me get all these.
Good luck.
KSK, KDR, KDE, Duchess Split Rock, Baroness La Mancha.
That's just a secret thing.
Carol, faster!
All right. So as usual, if you have a question, for the First Space Lord, just ping either Diane or me in the chat, and we will put you in the queue. And when it's your turn, we'll call your name, and you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Diane!
I know. We're not on it tonight, man. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get my chat thing up, so we're ready here. Okay. So let's start with some general questions while the social crew messages us in the chat with their questions.
Okay.
Well, good evening, Your Grace. How are you?
Hi. I'm tired, but I'm good.
How has this year been treating your office? You and your folks?
As crappy as everyone else. I don't know. It's slow, and then it's draggy, and things aren't happening at the level that they should be happening at, but we're making it work. I mean, right now my office is me and Mike, my DSL, and my chief of staff, Gerald, and my communications officer, who was on deployment for like 2 months. So that kind of slowed that down. So hopefully we'll have some more videos coming soon. But yeah, so it's been a little quiet, minus some minor drama here and there like there always is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely understandable considering it's 2020.
Yeah, 2020 is crazy.
Hey, we're almost through level 10 of Jumanji.
I know, we're almost there, you guys.
That's good.
We're almost there.
I hope.
All right, Your Grace. Can you tell our crew here a little bit about what motivated you to become a leader in TRMN?
I don't know. I tend to gravitate to those positions in any organization I volunteer in, just because I want to do things or I want to get things done. So I tend to gravitate to those positions and just move as it works. So I like to be active. So I started out in Butrain, and I started out in Butrain when there was just mainline courses, and that's it for RMN. There was nothing else. So I was doing some grading in that, and then was part of the crew that started the creation of all the other schools. So moved up in Butrain and just was a Space Lord, kind of sitting there doing things. So yeah, that's how that works. It's just because I get busy and I do stuff, and people go, "Hey, there's somebody who gets busy and does stuff." Yeah, accidental, as DOS will call it, helium hand. Yeah, I like that. I'll do it. Yeah. And here's the other deal: is my whole background is training, development, and human resources, and organizational culture. And so when I find things that need to be done or things that are really needed, I have a tendency to have an urge to fix them. So I'm pretty good at saying no, so don't worry about my psyche. But I mean, if it's too much for me, I'll eventually just say, yeah, bail. But everybody's like, don't say it now. Especially my DSL. But usually it's just a matter of where can I do good work? Where can I be the best fit for what I'm good at? So, which is people management.
So along those lines, you've had some really great results with dealing with the membership in a variety of ways. Can you tell us a little bit about your philosophy on leadership and problem solving and how you apply them within your office?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a volunteer organization, and I'm also, like I said, I'm also an organizational culture person. So my whole philosophy is making it work for people. So I guess generally it's working with people to get them what they need, within reason. Obviously there's stuff that we've got to say no to because either David says no to it or the organization says no to it, or it's just not possible to do. But really working one-on-one with people or working individually to try to try to balance out the communication, make sure the communication is accurate, make sure the communication is good and transparent, because I know as members, people just want to know, is it working? Is it not working? Do we need to do something different? Can we help? So generally, I'm not a person that likes to keep things, silent or information not out there if we can do it, when it makes sense. I don't want to obviously put little pieces of information out there, but yeah, so I mean, that's kind of my philosophy, is just working with people, being a good communicator.
Absolutely.
And writing really devastating emails. That's another fun thing. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever seen you do that.
Never seen it. Never done it.
All right. In your opinion, what sets TRMN aside from other organizations?
Well, so I really like the fact that even though we're a fan organization, we take the running of the organization really seriously, and we take the members seriously. And we also do take our dedication to doing good things in the world very seriously. I think part of it just happens to fit just the whole Honor Harrington, idea. But I feel that the fact that we do run ourselves in a more organizationally, like not quite corporate, but more of a volunteer, real life organization, makes it easier for us to do business and makes it easier to get you guys what you need, because we take it seriously, even though we're volunteers. So we take the whole organizational process seriously. We take the whole, I don't know, it just feels to me like when you take yourself seriously as an organization and you don't play politics, but you play, I mean, we really do understand that the lowest common denominator is the most important piece. The chapter is what drives the organization. So our job as leaders is to make it work for the chapters. It doesn't always, but, we do our best. I think the fact that we see that as an organization is important. And also, I just am a fan of not putting up with BS. I want us all to have a good time, and I really want to not have politics and drama if we can possibly avoid it. And I know that's sort of everybody's thing. So
Yeah, that's a good thing to be a
minimizing
fan
that
of.
for members, minimizing that for chapters, taking on some of that as leadership and just trying to make it work or fix it, or sorry, it doesn't work. Not every organization is for everyone. And I think you have to be aware that not every organization is for everyone. And if you don't fit it, if you don't fit the theme, if you don't fit the idea, and you want to take it and you by yourself want to change it to something else, I think the rest of the organization owes it to the members that are there for a reason to say, yeah, no, actually we're this. You can't just wrench it around to what you want it to be. So unfortunately that, I guess I'm willing to lose a little bit to gain for everybody else, to make sure everybody that's currently involved, that's really successful, is happy and doing what they can, so.
Cool. So where do you see the org, or where do you hope to see the organization as a whole in the next 10 years?
I'd say continuing to be a positive force in fandom. I love the fact that we stand out as that, and we show up at events, and we are good people. I want to keep being that. I want to just be good people in fandom, because I've seen some really crap. I want to represent people who, if we're more activity and more things. I just like the fact that people think well of our organization. I mean, obviously growth is always great. We grew a whole ton in the first 10 years. We could probably stand to grow slightly slower, but still grow and really enjoy ourselves as members. I think just making sure that chapters are successful and happy as much as possible, and having that infrastructure to do it. So I think it's just sort of keep doing what we're doing well. Obviously fix gaps and continue to fix gaps as we always try to do. And just be a good organization really out there, for not just for fandom, but for I don't know, even just organizations that need us. Because I know that people do stuff even outside of fandom organizations that they volunteer for. It's giving blood. It's all that kind of stuff, that we do that's part of the organization. I love that.
Right. On that note, Your Grace, do you miss your travel team adventures?
My travel team adventures.
The travel team adventures.
I miss traveling.
No,
Yes.
I do too.
I know. I miss like getting together with everybody and meeting members that I haven't met and going to places I haven't been to. And now, I mean, I had plans this year to go to some events that, I try to do a couple a year. None of us are rich, so and those that are, maybe, I don't know, but I'm not rich, and I have a kid in college, so there's that. But yeah, we really do. Bill and I try to get to as much as we can, just to meet people, so and show our faces. So that's really good. But yeah, I totally miss it. I miss people. It's one of the reasons I do this. I mean, why be like lead an organization that you can't see people? So
are you in for a New Orleans trip when it's
hell yeah.
When it's okay?
Oh yeah. That's like a top. That'll be a top one. I haven't been to New Orleans in a long time, and I got to see my, I got to, mess with the Fleet CO down there and stuff. So,
Yeah.
Of course.
Right. So on a different note, what's your favorite character from the books and why? Other than Honor, of course.
Oh, well, see, that was my favorite character.
Okay, second.
Second favorite character. That's always hard because I love all the books. I don't know. I kind of enjoy the whole intel side of it, with Anton and his crew and Victor. They're really always bringing up interesting stuff. And I really like the leadership in the RHN as well. I mean, the new stuff, the new Republic people. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to really pick. But I was really drawn into the series because of Honor, to be honest. So it's always nice to have strong female characters in sci-fi and stuff that really progress. Like, I'm a character person, so it's why I've stuck with the books, because David writes really good characters, and I will not stick with the books that don't have good characters. I mean, even if I lose characters, it's you still have, it's still pretty important. So
right.
How's that for a non-answer?
No, that was a good answer.
Politics, I'm good at that. No, whatever.
So some of you may not remember this, some of you may, but a few years ago we did a little project with everybody telling their origin stories, and that is that first volume is soon to be published. Woo! We're working on it. So, Your Grace, would you tell us your origin story?
My origin story. It's all John Knight's fault. That's all I can say. He was the Fleet CO for Second Fleet for a long time. But I don't know, I was sitting around, probably reading something, Honor Harrington, or watching TV, and John calls me and he goes, "Hey, do you know there's like this Honor Harrington? You read Honor Harrington, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because we had talked about it before. And just so you know, he lives very close to me. We're in the same town. And he goes, "Hey, there's a club. There's like a free club you could join." And then he, like, of course, harangues me to join it. And I'm like, "That's cool." And there's nothing going on because Second Fleet was not happening. There was a CO and all that, but there were really no chapters happening. So we started the first chapter in Second Fleet. So we were the HMS Merlin, because there's a really awesome pub in town here in Minneapolis. Yeah, as everybody's like, yes, everybody's been to visit, we take them there. So if they haven't been to visit, we take them there. So it was our home chapter location. They actually still have the framed HMS Merlin chapter thing. And it was really fun because we did a Skype and Martin was there and we kind of like had a whole chapter startup. So that's kind of how we got started. And so we really were first in Fleet. And then not very long after that, this is kind of not really the origin story, but like the things that happened to us in the first couple of months, which were pretty astounding, was that a crew of us, about 5 of us, went to ValleyCon because John, who is at the time was, Mr. Driving Force of everything, had said, hey, David's going to be at ValleyCon. Well, this is Fargo. It's a very small convention in Fargo. So we were like, hey, let's go. So we all drove up there, of course. And needless to say, we kind of ended up, besides Martin, being kind of David's first introduction to TRMN people, which is probably good because we were really fun and we were not like creepy and we were, you know, we were just good conversations, and Sharon was there. And so we really got to know them there and went to dinner and all that. And it was a really good time. So that really cemented the whole thing. And then I volunteered for Butrain, and it was like, you know, with the starting. That's what happened. That's kind of my origin story. It's not very exciting, but
We all have one though.
We do. We all have one.
So I have a silly question. What's the difference between the FLA and the 1SL?
the First Lord of the Admiralty in our organization is president of the entire organization. So he manages all of everything. If you think about like, so we're kind of built corporate wise. We're a board of directors at that level. So anybody who's in charge of a branch is kind of a member of the board of directors. And we are on the Royal Council.
Right?
What?
You're talking about all the Space Lords, right? Like
no, Space Lords, nope, that's separate. We're talking about the head of the RMN, the head of the RHN, the head of the RMMC, all of those, the different branch leaders. So the Space Lords are under me, under my branch, so essentially my position started out as this, it's the first vice president, and then everybody is kind of a vice president. So I am a board member and I manage the RMN fully, and I manage all the Space Lords and all the fleet COs. So I have a pretty big job, and mostly because that's our biggest element and it's where we started. So that was always sort of like the vice presidential position, but everybody else has a fairly even position on the board. And as the other parts of the organization grow, one of my points is to make them take responsibility for those parts of the organization and make their own decisions. So each group makes decisions for their branch. So
now, is that board also known as the Royal Council?
yes, that is the actual name of its Royal Council. But if you look at it, we're basically the board of directors. So we manage the same kinds of things a board of directors will manage.
Okay, now so you're the first Space Lord?
Yes.
Okay, my phone cut out. I've got a crappy signal. There's some bad weather in the
So the first Space Lord would be, so my board of directors position is like the first level vice president. So I'm like right near Martin. But as the other branches have taken more control, it's sort of more evened out. But I also manage the largest branch with the RMN, significantly the largest branch. And also my job is to manage all the Space Lords, no matter what branch they're in. That is my job, to manage them. And then my job is also to manage all the fleet COs, except for 7th Fleet and except for 4th Fleet, who are managed by their own branches. Yep.
Yeah. So by contrast, what is the FLA?
He's the president of the organization. The First Lord of the Admiralty manages everybody. So he is the president. So he's got the final say.
So does that mean he's your boss?
He's my boss. Martin is my boss. Yep.
Martin is everybody's boss.
Martin is everybody's boss. Well, Martin is a good enough boss that he doesn't micromanage. So there's that.
Right.
Excuse me, not boss, but commanding officer, I guess, since it's the Navy.
Either. Yeah. He's the organizational commanding officer, yes.
Right.
Thanks for all that. And
Yeah,
sorry
no problem.
you have to repeat
No,
yourself.
it's a little confusing.
Yeah. Well, I'm new anyway, so what do I know?
Oh, that's even more confusing then.
But at least I took initiative to ask.
That's good.
Yeah, and apologize for making you repeat yourself. I'm in a bad weather situation. I'm using Zoom over my phone, and I got a crappy signal.
Well, good luck on your weather.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
What am I doing? Why are you muted? Diane's muted. Did I mute you, Diane?
No, I'm
Not
good.
having issues tonight. Just, dude, muscle relaxers.
Whee!
There goes
Uh,
Cheryl. All right, so Your Grace, that was the questions that we had submitted. At the time, what we do now is we just kind of have a free-for-all, and everybody's allowed to just stay
Whee!
chill and hang out. Everybody can unmute, and just we can have a round robin, or you guys can continue to ask her some questions. Remember, she needs to eat, so look.
Oh, I've eaten. I'm good. I'm just
I was gonna
munching
say,
on the
she's
last
already,
stuff,
she's
you
been
know.
eating the whole time. What?
I stopped.
What is
I
this?
stopped
What
before.
is this? A meeting hall? What is this? A meeting hall or a mess hall?
That's right.
Same.
Oh,
Both.
Both.
I'm
It's a
eating.
garage.
I'm about to eat too.
And the bar. It's a bar too.
and the bar.
Social
Yeah.
part.
So basically,
Definitely a bar.
this is 10 forward.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm eating some chicken noodle soup right now, straight out of the can.
There you go. Been there, done that.
Mm.
I gotta heat
Patrick
that up.
sounds like,
at least.
I've done that before.
Well, you're
Mark,
talking to
how
a guy
is-
who
What kind of advice would you offer to members who do want to move up in the organization? What kind of career path?
Question. So there's two ways to go. Obviously, moving up, you can move up within your chapter. If your chapter has that availability. If your chapter's pretty locked down, or they've got a triad that's been there for a while, and you definitely want to express any interest in that to your CO or to your XO or even your bosun, just to say, hey, I'm really interested in moving up, or I'm really interested in eventually taking on some more. But I got to tell you, we are always looking for volunteers in every single part of the organization. So keep an eye out for something that works for you. Everybody has their own skills. Like, I knew my skills were really, really in Butrain, because that's what my real life skills do. I mean, I'm an instructional designer. So, I do e-learning and all that. So it's like, I knew, they might be able to use my help. So I just said, hey, I'd like to help with that. So it's one of those things where you just look and say, hey, that'd be kind of interesting to do. And here's the other thing about this organization is that I really want to encourage people to just step their toes in, because you can't fail per se. As long as you're putting in the effort, there's not a failure option. So it's not like a job where, Cheryl hires you for something and you don't quite get it at first and you're trying to figure it out. That's okay. That's actually fine as long as you show up. The part that hurts our organization is when somebody like volunteers or something, gets all excited and then doesn't show up anymore, like just vapes and they're gone. It's like, just call us and tell us your life came crashing down and you really just need to take a break, and even if you just need to quit, that's fine, but let us know. But yeah, I think you have a lot of opportunities in this organization because of the way that we're structured, because of what we do, because of our professionalism, to learn some things. So if you've not done something, but you've always been interested in it, you could certainly apply for it and say, hey, I haven't done this, but I think I could, or I think I'd be really interested, or I'd love to work under somebody who's doing it. So every single one of our bureaus needs people, every single one. That is the fastest way to move up in the organization. I can tell you, if you are a go-getter and you just are willing to do some stuff, and learn, that's a really good way.
Everybody needs
How
to know.
important is testing? Speaking of moving up, how important are the exams through Butrain?
So it's important to the level that you want to move. So you do have to look at that and say, so if you have a big goal, it's like someday I want to be a flag officer, you need to look at what that takes, because the courses are part of that. And it's not exactly testing. It's more like a learning opportunity, because it's open book. You can do a lot of research. It's pretty, people with test anxiety can get help too. If you're like, hey, I hate testing, it's not nobody wants you to fail. So that's one of those things where you just start doing it and they're fun. You try to make them fun, try to learn something, try to do something different. You don't have to do all the other parts of it. You really only just have to do the mainline ones that manage your your different level. So if you want to be a flag officer, you're going to have to see what it takes in the testing and get to that level. I went like right through and just did a bunch of them because I thought, this would be fun. So I ended up like ridiculously high in my testing level, which of course made it really available for people to give me jobs. And maybe I should have
That was your
waited
first
for it.
mistake.
Like, oh, sorry, I can't be promoted. So yeah,
I used to know someone who
I
was
found
not
that the
testing.
two hat rule is kind of puts the kibosh on things. You want to volunteer, you have the time to do it, but the two hat rule stops you from doing
What
it.
is the 2-hat rule?
so it really depends, and that you can appeal the 2-hat rule to the JAG. It means basically you can't wear 2 hats in the organization of a certain level. Like I don't get 2 hats because my hat's really big. It's probably like 8 hats. So nobody's going to give me another, oh, hey, yeah, you can be DSL of, BUCOM and be the first Space Lord. No, that's not going to happen. So every job has its sort of hat level. So somebody that's an instructor, if you're an instructor, that's a fairly low-key job for the most part, and it doesn't take up a crap load of your time all the time. And you could do that with like half a hat, So a CO of a chapter is a hat. You wear a job. It's a hat. A hat is basically a job. So you're given another billet doing something for, BUCOM, depending on the amount of work in that. Like if you're going to be in their triad, you're going to be their chief of staff. That's going to be a full hat. But then again, you're going to be maybe a yeoman somewhere, and it's not a super busy job. That may not be a full hat, and that could be appealed to JAG, and they could figure out what that hat level is. So it does depend on the job. So you kind of have to be.
Yeah, that's kind of funny because our former commanding officer of our ship recently got promoted to fleet level. So
Yep, that can happen. And that's when like that person's like, well, so for example, we also have a few rules around chapters because we don't want really weird stuff going on. So you really, if you're going to be in charge of a chapter, you can't go beyond captain.
yeah, don't get me started on the Anasazi.
Yeah. So you can't go beyond captain. So you got to be like a fleet, if you're going to move up, you just have to find somebody to replace that position. So it's challenging. And like I said, I think it's one of those things that you can appeal to. I do know people who have appealed and successfully gotten another hat or been able to do another job or committed to it. So it's just one of those things you got to maybe chat with JAG about because they kind of manage the hat levels. So, and we can also do it.
I would also talk up your chain as well, whoever your direct CO is. Talk to them as well to see what their expectations for that hat level is, because you also don't want to let them down in that group that you're working with. And they may have something coming down the pipeline you're not aware about. So just overall communication is the best way to do it.
Yeah. Communication is big. Talk to them.
I promise if you open your mouth to volunteer, someone will take you up on it.
That's right. Yep.
Even if you don't, they may drag you along.
That's right.
Yep.
Sorry, Lauren.
You're welcome.
And check
we
the
heard
links.
you.
Check the links in the chat as well, because our buddy New Greyhawk has been posting links out there, so that helps explain some of the stuff too. So.
Right.
Well, you got to go with your strong points. Got to go with what you're best at.
Yeah, and I think the original intent of the 2-hat rule was recognizing that we're a fan organization, and fan organizations tend to drive people a lot, or even drive burnout for some people. So it was kind of a cushion to say, hey, whoa, slow down, don't burn yourself out doing this. It's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah, Patrick, that's a good point. It's like two sides actually on that. Because there's a drive, there's like a don't overload somebody, and then there's also a don't let someone have a fiefdom. So you never want to have in a volunteer organization, because I've seen this happen, you don't want to have people corner the market on a section. Oh, I've got all these jobs and you can't have them. We really want to open them up to anybody available in the organization. It does make it difficult when some people are less active and some people are more active, and we do struggle to find that, and sometimes that's why we're willing to maybe get a ruling and overlook something when we don't feel like it's going to really drag someone down or drive them crazy. But that's why I don't have another job, because it would drive me crazy to have a second position with this position. So, and it's very often why SLs don't have another, or don't have another job. They are a one-hatted job. So it can be busy.
Technically, according to the AO, I mean, it's a two-hat job, but that's why you can only have the one.
So you have the one. Mine, anything basically SL and above is pretty much a two-hat job. You need to do that job because it does take a lot of space and a lot of head space. Even if it doesn't take a lot of time space, it takes a lot of head space. So, yeah. As I said, my job's kind of like, it's quiet, it's quiet, it's quiet, it's too quiet, all hell breaks loose, and then it's quiet again. That's my job. So when we get to the point where DOS knows, I'm like, I think it's too quiet, DOS. He's like, shut up. Stop it. Stop talking. Yeah, you're right.
You brought it on yourself.
I know. Jinx. Cheryl's eating. Is it good?
Tacos, yeah.
Yay, tacos.
Tacos on not even on Taco Tuesday.
Taco Saturday. What do you want, Kathy?
God.
Every day is
whenever.
taco day.
Taco whenever. Hello.
Taco whenever.
What con that was in Duluth?
Huh? A con?
No. So I was asking Cheryl about this. This is way back in the day, and Bill I know knows this, but there was a sci-fi con up at Spirit Mountain, wasn't there?
Yes.
Way back in the 70s?
Yes. Where the hell is Bill?
Trying to
Where is
remember
he?
the
I thought he was on here. It's called SolarCon.
SolarCon, that was it.
Bill's like yelling from the other room, by the way, because I will tell you that he lost an entire mortgage on SolarCon. So just.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Bill goes, my hand.
Bill, you're still on
muted.
mute.
Wait,
muted,
hang on.
but.
What, Bill? Oh,
I'm muted.
he's on. He'll have to come talk about it.
Okay.
Because
Can you hear me now?
I was not around during SolarCon, so
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It was not in Duluth. It was in Burnsville at Buck Hill.
Buck Hill, right.
And yes, it was up at Spirit Mountain. We had the Spirit of the Mountain Festival. which turned
Spirit of the Mountain Festival, that was the other one.
and
yeah.
turned into the Robin Hood Festival, which
Yep.
I, of course, was Robin Hood. No.
No.
Yeah.
But that was a science fiction festival where I was the viceroy of the Imperial Empire. No, it was the Galactic Empire, and I had these braziers with fireball
you could
things
shoot
on it.
fireballs.
Yep,
It was
yep.
awesome.
And one of them backfired and blowtorched my hand through my leather glove, and I had a scar on my hand for quite a while. But well, that was fun. I walked around in turtle armor and this great dragon wings, because it was a dragon armor, and so it gave me a force field of protection against the quarterstaff hits that people did on me. So it was a fun show. It just was it just was poorly produced in the advertising end, and I lost about $58,000.
Wow.
But
That's a lot of money.
it got me out of filling vending machines, and into the entertainment world, which ended up putting me on the Renaissance Festival production staff on site. And so I helped to build the feast hall at Renaissance Festival. And so those big doors that everybody sees open up, I made those doors, and ended up being the director of sales at the Renaissance Festival for 9 years. And so it changed my life, and
that's where you met me. Woo!
Yeah.
Anyway, so Patrick, your point was?
I don't know.
I was just asking, but I couldn't remember the names.
Yeah.
And it was because I've been going through the con stack and developing this whole global expanse of conventions that are out there for various members of the fleet. So it's like I'm just sitting there. I'm going, oh wait a minute, there was that one, and then the other one, and it was
The
like
other one.
It was Solaron, a festival of the future. And interesting thing is we made a comic book that any patron, whenever they arrived, could follow the scenario as it went through the day, because this galactic empire came to exploit the resources of these people. And so we were promoting solar and all kinds of new age things. And the only problem was is that all our advertising, you know, those signs you see along the freeway, sell your house and all that stuff. We did that stuff, but people, you know, the police came and kept pulling them out, and so people couldn't find us. And but it was an ingenious idea, and it was fun. And so it I would love to have seen it succeed, but it just
Kelly and I were talking about the cool stuff that Laura and Bill have done, you know. So
well, in fact, those, like Cheryl, you know, Jim Cunningham, the Feastmaster Renaissance Festival,
yeah,
he auditioned for that show, and that was his first audition in the festival circuit kind of thing. And I think he did the Excalibur scene from Camelot, where King Arthur is talking about what to do,
right,
with the situation with his wife and this French knight. So, but anyway, hi everybody.
Hi,
Hey.
Bill.
Hello.
Miss you.
Yes, I was thinking about you guys today over there in Colorado with the fires and such.
yeah.
And I just think, and you know, the nice thing I saw, plus the if anybody hasn't seen this, the Department of Defense did a big test on airliners, and the airlines have done a lot of work on their plane, and there's a very, very, very small chance that very small chance, and so that's a plus thing, that people can maybe start traveling on their planes again, and so that's good.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Patrick, you were going to send me a back thing for me.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Oh yeah.
I have a moose. But so.
Yep.
And I saw the notes from the meeting last week, and we were going to start working on that information sheet or whatever that is. So what's happening, people? What's happening? I see RJ's here, you jerk.
Muted, Laura.
Hi, gang. Hi, William.
So they were asking you questions, and you just came in and, like, you know, took over. That's all. It's my ask me anything. Do you have any questions, Bill, to ask the first Space Lord?
I do.
Uh-oh. Danger.
When's dinner?
I ordered dinner.
How is it that you and DOS survive not blowing your heads up when things go awry? Because
right or awry?
Awry, because I see it when it happens.
We talk to each other. That's why.
And it's not me. It's Mike, right?
Oh, Mike. Yeah, DOS is not. Mike and I, we talk to each other.
Times when I hear things from
the sides of my side of the conversation,
and it's like, why she just doesn't throw this whole thing out the door sometimes, because somebody's being a complete arrogant idiot and just thinking of themselves. And it's, how do you maintain that calm? Because you know me very well, that the fuse can be about this long, whereas Diane's is
smaller.
What?
Not there.
I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing your head.
No fuse.
Anyway,
so that is a good question. Well, sometimes I do, but not really. I think you just have to keep perspective in mind. Honestly, the whole thing is about perspective. Nothing in this situation is life and death. And, you all right, Cheryl?
Except Cheryl there. You all right?
Do not inhale tacos.
Life and death.
I know I say life and death, and Cheryl starts inhaling her own tacos.
Yeah, I can't do the Heimlich from here, man.
True.
That was me. That was me last week.
Yeah.
Twice.
So
again,
I think mainly it's just a matter of, like I said, perspective. And then also, so one of the things that I do is get to know the people that I have to work with. I get to know them very well. So I try to understand maybe where some of it's coming from. I have to decide if somebody's just really over anxious, or really something particularly drives them to be angry or frustrated or not doing something. Sometimes it's just a matter of, it does make me mad. It's like, I don't like it when people get attacked for stupid stuff. But I also don't like it when, everything just explodes. You just have to, I don't know, I just try to maintain my calm. And I'm not sure that I can completely understand it 100%, but I think part of it is just the perspective that nothing that happens here is going to just change the world. We're trying to make it good for everybody, and you just have to be patient with it and work your way through all the communication places and figure out where it went wrong. And that's the best way to do it. And I mean, that's even the best way to do it anywhere, to be honest. You just have to sort of say, unless the world is exploding, we have to figure out where this communication chain went wrong. And also, just generally assume the best until you know it's not. And there's certainly been situations where I know somebody's just being a complete ass. And once I figure out that's where it is, I really don't tolerate it anymore, because it's usually blowing up on someone else that I have to deal with, or that I have to work with, or that does good work for me. And I'm not really interested in letting people abuse other people. So when it gets to that point, it stops. So I can be a hard ass when I need to be honest. I just don't tend to choose that first. So
with that,
not the hose again.
with that in mind, what's your preferential chain of command with dealing with problem issues? Do you prefer?
Right. Go ahead.
Do you prefer people to come directly with you, or should they follow, going to their CO, to the fleet commander, to their?
Yeah, I would prefer people to follow the chain of command, because that's the first place I'm going to go. If I hear something, I talk to my direct reports, my SLs a lot about just different things. And sometimes they'll come to me for advice. And sometimes my advice, as people can well say, is that has to go a different direction. I literally cannot reach down into that situation and fix it, because it would be
test
a mess. Who's that? Oh,
Not it.
So if I reached out from my high level and just like slapped somebody down at a chapter level, that would be kind of disastrous. Number one, it would be really disastrous for that person, because then it'd be like, oh my God, everybody in the entire world is paying attention to me. But then it would also be disastrous because it would just be too much, So I actually have to follow, and I gotta tell you, previous people in my position did not follow that rule, but I follow it pretty heavily. I feel like that it is not my job to reach down someplace, below me and say, hey, this person. It is my job to listen, though. So if 5 different people come to me about one person, it might be time for me to go have a conversation with that one person, especially if they're pretty close to my level. But yeah, I prefer people to kind of go through their chain. But I will tell you, if you're not getting anywhere, we will listen higher up. So if you're feeling like nobody in your chapter's listening to you, nobody in your fleet level's listening to you, I want to hear about it, because to me that means they're falling down on their job. And no matter what, you volunteered for this job. There are rules to this job. Fleet COs need to manage the fleets they're in. I don't manage them. I don't want to manage them. I want to hear from you that things are successful. I want to know that they're talking to their chapters. So I do want to know if things are just horribly bad, but I would like people to try to go through the chain as much as possible, because that's going to get you the farthest, quickest. So if that makes sense, it doesn't always help just come straight to me or my office, because I'm like, well, I'm going to have to tell you, you better talk to your fleet CO first, because that's going to be getting you what you need. So sometimes my office isn't the best option.
But there are a lot of really good people out there that can really help with that. If you're either not getting a response, or if you're uncomfortable talking to someone,
right?
There are a lot of great people in the organization. You can go up your chain of command. Certainly,
yep.
You can go to a neighboring,
people have messaged me directly because they were worried about something totally different, and I'll answer.
Yeah.
I may not have the answer you want, but I'll answer.
Get a hold of Smack Pun. He's also really good at that. And especially if you're enlisted, you fall under his purview. I know that back when I was enlisted, I utilized the skills of the then Smack Pun on more than one occasion for issues that I had, and it was great. So don't feel like if you're not getting answers, you're just stuck.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'd rather you come message me on Facebook and say there's a dramatic problem happening here. Where do I go? I can at least direct you to the right place if I can't fix it. But I'm not going to take, gatekeep and take every single question just because somebody's, irritated. That's got to go. And we have a JAG for a reason. That's an ombudsman position, and it's also something very unique to our organization in that it's the one thing that's the other thing that I didn't actually mention is we have a position that actually looks out for the member. No matter what level you are, no matter what, they'll investigate the problem. So if there's a real problem, that's a good outlet, but especially if it's right up your chain. But I definitely say step outside the chain if you can't get any place in the chain going, but definitely reach out. But it's best to kind of go, hey, I have this idea, and kind of go up the chain with it. And if you're not getting anywhere,
or if you have a problem, also realize that if you try and get a hold of somebody, you've got to give them time. We all have real lives.
Yeah.
So you might not get an immediate response or even a 24-hour response. You might have to wait a couple of days, and if it's really important, poke again. But
oh man, Cheryl, come on.
Hey,
I'm glad to be back on. Thanks for your patience.
I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I found out what happened. I think my cell phone crapped out because it ran out of data, and then it just dumped me off the internet.
Oh, bummer.
So I was
welcome back.
Phones.
Yeah, so I decided to be Mr. Engineer and frantically install the Zoom app on my desktop on Gentoo Linux. I'm back.
Yay.
There you go.
You sound good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love Linux, by the way.
Most people who have installed do.
Yeah, and I'm running Gentoo. That's like the nerdiest distro out there.
Hey, Susan, what course did you apply for that you aren't getting yet? Running up the chain is a good idea, though. It won't get much farther past a certain level.
Like first the Butrain chain. In this
well, I have. It is the Steward A course. I've been very patient. I've been emailing. I've been following up the ladder, and I feel like I'm getting nowhere.
So I would like to suggest that maybe you go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Cheryl.
I do know that there have been some. They're working on the Steward test, so they might be. They shouldn't have waited this long to even respond to you, but there might.
Who's running that now?
Well, it's
Probably Jack.
Jack's not running it.
No. It's still their person, right?
Yeah,
I still say go if you don't get an answer soon, go straight to the chief of staff. Just mail COS.
Well, I think the chief of staff is my next step. Chief of staff is my next step.
Yeah,
but,
I would say you'd get
even if they're working on the course. Even if they're working on the course, it would be very nice if they would respond and not leave me floating in dead silence.
Yeah, I don't think the Steward thing is yet underneath the program yet. So I think that's still a Butrain issue. So I would definitely go one step above. Don't stop. Because the one reason I say that is because I was the sixth Space Lord for, a couple of years. And one of the issues we have is no matter how much you're doing it, you are managing people virtually. This whole entire organization is virtual management. I would have people disappear on me all the time, and I would not know it until a student said, hey, do you know that